All right. Good evening, everyone. So, well, what are to do? So, Carmine's coming on in a minute because the other day, we had that fella flashing his willy. So we went, I had to edit it, his part out, and he's got some things he wants to say, and so do I, actually. Anyway, so while we're waiting on him, let's talk about last night. Mike, I like Mike Slick, I do. But Mike, you really kind of wussed out. You did. That guy was threatening. He was saying, it's no threat. It's no threat. Could I drag your daughter out of school? How would you feel if your wife lost the job? Have you ever been beat up? It's 20 questions. And here's the thing. It was passive aggressive. It was passive aggressive, veiled threats. And the minute he started talking about your daughter being out of school, I don't think the correct response was, well, yeah, that could happen. Now, I know a little later I listened and you said you were trying to defuse things and in one way, I heard Johnny Mac also, he said he was trying to bait you. So, the thing is, you're better than me. But what I will tell you is you go on his show, to go on his show and be humiliated like that, thank God for Brittany. Thank God for Brittany and that other lady that came on, because they tore him a new arsehole. They literally did, and as you see, he does this lawyer shit, this jailhouse lawyer stuff. What about this? What about that? And you answer that question, then he goes on to the next and the next and the next. I would have had many questions for him. You're not in the courtroom. Who's he? The prosecutor? No. What he did was messed up. I think he wussed out. And I think, I get it. But at the same time, when he started going on about your wife and your daughter, no, bye-bye. You know what I mean? That's how I felt about it. Thank God for Brittany, because she really tore him a new arsehole, and the other lady that came on tore him a new arsehole. And if you notice, what happened was when the women started going at him, he reverted to type. Oh, go suck a black D, black D, black D. On one thing, he's saying to the woman, well, are you a racist? Because she said she doesn't suck black Ds. He's the one that seems to be obsessed with black Ds. Okay, so do me a favor, Harambe. If you want to come back at me over this particular video, do it yourself. I'd rather deal with the organ grinder than the monkey. Because what you always do, I might say something. Next thing you know, here comes Piggy. You get Piggy to do your dirty work. Do it yourself. In any event, here's Carmine. And I'm going to look at the chat. I'm going to switch to avatar. Carmine, can you hear me?
Yes, Josie, how are you?
Okay, so I'm going to switch to avatar because the aesthetic. I've got OCD. Hang on. All right, so okay, so and that way I can look at the chat properly. Okay, so Carmine, first of all, I guess my first question to you is, what do you feel about this whole Chicago Muscle, Harry Wessels deal? I mean, what do you think about it? Because you didn't get a chance really to say what you thought.
Well, I think to start off with, I'm not going to come on and apologize that I was wrong. I think that
you're kind of sounding like you're okay. You just went out. Before you start, I'm just sorry. Let me just address this. Elvis, I just looked at it. I was on the phone with Carmine. I just looked at it, and he was in my block thing. But what it was, I was looking for David S. Cameron. And he changed his name to David Cameron or something. So I just unblocked him. So sorry, David, I didn't see that the first time, but I did unblock him. Okay, now go ahead, Carmine. So what did you think about, the whole thing in general?
Well, the way that I was introduced to Chicago, I would you could
The
attest to the
sound's
fact
terrible, Carmine. You're going in and out.
let's see. Is that any better?
Yeah, that's way better. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, my introduction to him was only circumstantial. I never wanted to be part of Team Muscle. I was never asked to be part of this. I came on as your guest to discuss a specific issue with you.
Right.
I mean, I was thrown a wrench without asking if I wanted to be there or asked any questions about it.
Right.
And at that point, it put you with that guy in a terrible position because the slightest deviation from what he wants, and there's a temper tantrum.
Right.
And he not only would take it out on me,
right.
he would take it out on you. So it was a manipulative move he made, and it was, it really wasn't fair. So at that point, since I'm used to approaching things, everything I go through is almost scientific, or searching for the facts, searching for what you know.
I'm glad to see Dominic in the chat. Everyone makes mistakes, and you're always welcome in my chat. Yeah, I just wanted to make that part clear. The only reason you even came on there was because what were we talking about? It was because of Kevin, and you wanted to address that, and he was doing a show that night, so that's why. You wouldn't have been on there otherwise. It wasn't like, you sought him out, you were in his chat or none of that. So you were only really on there really because of me in the first place.
Well, to be honest, you knew before time that I really thought the guy was a fraud.
Yes.
We had plenty of conversations, and now it's easy to say that. But on top of that, I mean, I really feel bad because I confused Mrs. Gotti, the Angel Gotti, because I would write to her on Twitter and tell her my feelings, that I thought the guy was a phony and that I didn't believe the things that he was saying. And then all of a sudden she sees me go on there. So I'm sure that she was confused at the least and hurt a little. What the hell is he doing saying this to me and doing that? But at the point I was there, I said, I'm going to shake a hornet's nest if I do anything else but sit on my hands.
Right.
I tried to tell the guy that I disapprove of the pictures. Now, yes, I did say that I do believe there are times that are necessary, that you need overwhelming force. But overwhelming force does not have to be berating people, making fun of their looks, insulting their families. Overwhelming force is when you organize people collectively to work toward a common goal and succeed.
Right.
So I didn't agree, and I told him that I didn't agree with those things. And I sat back and I listened. Now, as you know, I'm very educated in technology, very educated in science.
Right.
I've done a lot of things there. So the wise man sits back and listens to what somebody else says. The only time someone's going to make a mistake, if they are going to make a mistake, is when they feel comfortable. So when he started telling me and showing me pictures of these computers he built, and he was using it for this industry and that industry, it drew great questions to me because it didn't make sense. What he said he had to do these things was incorrect. But I knew any challenge on something that small was not going to prove what his identity was, what his real intentions were, what the motivations for anything. So again, I had to sit on my hands. But everything as it went forward, I've had a lot of interaction with the military because as a scientist, I worked in developing things for the military. And I know all branches of the service, especially the Marines and the Navy, have done a lot of interaction with them.
Right.
And I went and I studied. At first, I thought, okay, he could sound like an expeditionary Marine, or he could sound like somebody that's been on the battlefield. But I had other people tell me to listen a little deeper.
Right.
Marines believe in their heart, what's in their in their hymn, the Marines hymn from the Falls of Montezuma. They not only believe in destruction, in fighting, they believe in honor. They believe in ethical. They achieve their points ethically and fairly. They're not bullies, and they're not barbarians. So I came to doubt more and more that he was actual. So to keep the peace again and sit on my hands, I said, yeah, okay. Because at the end, I believe, like you, if he turned out to be an old man in a trailer,
right,
the blame was on him. It wasn't really on anybody else, because everybody else wasn't selling his story. He was the one that was selling the story.
Well, I mean, we had conversations about it, and I did say that. I said, at the end of the day, we had a common enemy, and whether, he turns out to be an old man in a shed or, a superhero, it didn't really matter to me. I thought he was effective at what he did when he was going after Harambe and them. However,
but he got misguided when he started to attack and alienate people that weren't doing anything wrong.
Yeah, but Real Guy said last night, he was a bit upset that nobody had this conversation with him. Well, to tell you the truth, I didn't even have that conversation with Mike Slick until a few days before the doxing. And, that's when I said what I thought about it. At the end of the day, that's how I feel. And and you have to remember at that time, prior to that, I have a feeling if I'd have said that to Mike Slick, they were so gung-ho on him that they would have told him, and I'd have been, dragged over the coals. And then, at the same time, when Mike Slick and Deadly were talking, if they'd have decided to talk to
it kept spiraling downward. I mean, when I was the one who requested that you, of course, I had no way of contacting Mike Slick at that time. I was the one that requested that you made that call because I wanted to tell Mike that this thing's getting out of hand. Yeah. Maybe an intervention is necessary to state that you can't just pick people like Matty Marinara and Uncle Zio and David Cameron, and you can't throw them out for no reason. It was wrong.
I know, and I don't know what's going on with David Cameron. I mean, I've looked in Google, they have a Google block list. I've looked in my block list, and I just told you when I was on the phone, I just saw him. It said David Cameron, and I got him out of there because I was looking for David S. Cameron, I think. And so I thought that was a troll, and you have to remember there was a time when there were a million David Camerons. I think people were using his name a lot. So, and Chicago Muscle obviously didn't like him. So he probably blocked him in the first place because I would never have blocked him. And if you get back in, David, I'll give you a wrench so that doesn't happen again. I don't know why he can't get in the chat. It's not making much sense to me. But anyway, so
and then when I found out that with the so-called, first of all, I never asked to be in this quote unquote war room. We used to joke about it between you and I.
Right, yes.
You were going to adjust the Fiora every day.
Yeah.
I mean, it was ridiculous to me. And I mean, to some people who think if there were things done with pictures of people and that didn't happen in my presence, but they did discuss things, and they did, and it was always Chicago Muscle saying that he had this overwhelming evidence that I never found that was overwhelming. I would think it was circumstantial, and I would question him. I said, "Is this what you have?"
Right.
Then once he was doxxed, Deadly came out and said that there was actually talk behind my back in the war room that they thought I was Arthur Stillwell, and I was highly offended. And I was
I know you were upset with me, but I said I had no idea because I rarely looked in there. I would look every so often, here and there, but I mean, I wasn't really in there like that. So I never saw any of that. And Real Deal said he never saw any of that because he would have said something.
Josie, you know my situation. I'm on stage 3 kidney cancer that's just traveled into the pancreas. I have
Right.
better things to do with my time than waste my time in some fantasy on YouTube. Much
Yeah. I
much more
know.
precious is my time than to play
Right.
games like that.
Right.
And all this coming from a man who's talking about honor, integrity, honesty, and he's stabbing everybody around him in the back.
So do you think, because some people are saying it's not him, what do you think? You think
It's
it's
him.
him?
It's him.
Yeah, well, Mike Slick did say that he called him and admitted to being him. So I believe that. I tend to believe that.
I
But
watched MRE's presentation. I watched those people up on the screen, and you could tell me all you want, but if you keep connecting the dots in science and it adds up to what it is,
right,
you have to draw a conclusion, and it is damn close.
right,
I mean,
right,
the rest of this stuff is propaganda. The Tony
right.
Pizza stuff and the stuff that he's going to reappear. Well, they've been quoting sightings of Elvis for years. So now we're going to have sightings of muscle. Get the hell
Well,
out of here! I don't
excuse me.
believe
You're totally wrong about that. I've got Elvis in my chat. So he's back. But no, so what did you think of last night? I just felt like, he was really like punking Mike Slick. And, it pissed me off. I really wanted to jump on there, but I've been advised against addressing him at all,
it was
and so I'm
terrible.
going to go with that. But
He
no, I
he
was so
has a
glad.
very terrible way.
Glad for Brittany. I mean, what did you think of that? If he goes on that show, he's making him grovel. He was groveling, and it enraged me. And I understand. You want to put an end to it, and it's your kids and this and that. And people have to do what's best for them. So I do understand that, but at the same time, he basically was threatening him.
Absolutely, he was
It's not a
threatening
threat. It's not a threat. Have you ever been beat up? Have you ever been? Oh my God! I'm glad he's better than me. That's all I know. He is better than me.
Well, my feeling on it is, and I like Mike Slick. He's been very kind to me, and I mean, he's also a very good man. But I would tell him that going on that show Friday, all that's going to happen is he's going to be paired with all of them.
My girl, it's up to her. Wait, hold up a minute. Hold up 1 minute. It's your girl, it's up to her. Your girl has got people's information, our social security numbers, been supplying you with our information for months on end, and sat up there and co-signed, everything he was saying to Mike Slick. How would you feel about your family? How would you feel about your girl? Every single thing he said, I would have said right back at you. Because
absolutely, I personally think, in my position, I would have shut him down. I would not.
Everything he said, he's done himself. He's been doing it from the day he came on here. So I wouldn't have been having that. No, hell no. And Brittany, you deserve the award of the year. You and the other lady, I don't forget her name.
They really did stand. They really did stand up.
And all he could revert to was suck a black D, suck a black D. That's all he can ever say. Your mama, your sister, your brother, you're this, you're that. He goes to ignorance.
That's the only thing that he knows when he's rattled. He goes to ignorance.
Exactly. He can't hold a normal, civil. Mike Slick was very calm. I didn't like when he kept saying, yeah, you might be right. Do you think I can't pull your daughter out of school? No, I don't think you can pull his daughter out of school. And let me tell you why. What are you going to do? Call up there? Oh, her father's on YouTube. I'm Harambe. I just got here, and he's been, slandering me and my family on YouTube. I mean, they're going to say, okay, well, we're not going to bother with the fees. We're going to kick her out.
There is no
sins of the
smoking
father.
gun. It's all
Is he crazy?
propaganda. It's just all propaganda.
Exactly.
And that's all that this man knows, because he came from a society where the Cuban police, the GGI or the DHI, whichever one, that was the tactics that they used on the people to bully them, to keep them in submission.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
the
I
only
was just
thing
screaming at
that
the
did
freaking
right to this
computer.
man.
Yeah, I'm thinking, oh my God, I would have lost my mind.
You think I'm afraid now that he's going to deep dive in the dark web? I could take him on a trip to the dark web that it'll be like the Matrix. He'll wonder
He
whether
keeps going, well, this is the thing. He keeps going on about the freaking dark web. You know, the man, he's not computer literate. Have you seen the way he types? You know, okay, he might know some people that, you know, familiar with it, but that doesn't mean crap. He's always bringing up the dark web. You know,
he doesn't know anybody.
I've got
The
the dark
dark
web
web
up the
knows
crack of
people would
my
eat them
ass.
up
How
and
about
spit out
that?
the bones.
Yeah, and not only that, you know, here's what I noticed as well with him. Okay, so, you know, well, Mike Slick this, Mike Slick that. He's got 20 ridiculous questions. The questions were all ridiculous. He didn't really ask him anything constructive, because everything he asked him, he's done himself. So that's what I would have said to that.
All that was intimidation.
Yes. Secondly,
all it was.
I'm not getting excited. I'm not up to, you know, man, please.
And then, you know, to anybody in the future, to somebody who is so proficient, who's Tony Action, why does he got to ask Mike Slick where his parents come from? Don't give this fucking guy any information.
Yeah, Mike Slick, he
Let
might
him
as
work
well have
for
just
his own
written out his
information.
life story. He may as well have just written out his life story and given it to him. I was
And
like,
I'm not saying anything bad about Mike Slick. I'm saying that people have to be aware this guy is fishing for his own information there. Now, he says he can get it any which way. He can do this, he can do that. Well, let him work for it.
Yeah, of course. You know, it's ridiculous. And what I noticed as well, as he does the 20 question thing, you know, he always reverts, well, what do you think of MRE? It's none of your business what he thinks of MRE. You know what I mean? What has that got to do with the price of fish? And what does that have to do with you? He just wanted Mike Slick to denounce MRE, which Mike Slick did. And I'm not happy about that, Mike Slick, because I absolutely think you should have told him to go do one, whatever your thoughts are on MRE. It's none of his business. No.
If he should go to that show on Friday with the Sacred Heart and the Blessed Mother on each side of him, it won't be enough.
No,
he's going to do what he's going to do anyway.
Exactly. And what he's gonna do is humiliate and embarrass him again. Oh, you need to, you know, apologize to my girl. You need to apologize to my girl. Your girl needs to apologize to many people on here. These apology tours are like getting on my freaking nerves. You know, oh, I'm sorry. No, what are you going to be sorry about? You did basically what he's been doing for the past year. Thank you very much. So, you know, and it's one thing to apologize and sincerely mean it. That's one thing. It's another thing. I haven't heard any apologies coming back from his ass. Have you? Have you heard him apologize to anyone for anything he's done? Did I miss something here?
No, not at all.
You know, why is everyone's got to apologize to him and crawl, and I don't think so.
You know,
Mike,
what I told Mike was there's enough people in academia, people in my position that have had the status of professor for a while, that know deans and presidents of institutions that are going to stand up for her. Zofo is one man with his little computer. Now he can go on tomorrow. He can call me every name he wants, or he can sick Kevin on me, or he can do whatever he wants. I don't care anymore.
Well,
but I'm going to tell you that he's only one man. Voice and numbers.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about that, though, George. You know, the thing is, you know, he's a criminal. You know, a career criminal.
He's a habitual criminal. Yeah,
sitting down in Miami talking about he's calling the school and getting her put out. He's calling, you know, this and that. He's going to get this one fired, that one fired. You know, blaming people for calling the work. I know I didn't call the work. I was told to go another route, which I have. So I ain't in that, and I don't care. At the same time, they went after everybody else's job. One of the first things Piggy had said was, I'm going after her job. I'm going to do this and that. They were the first ones to do that. Okay, Laurie Love said, Josie, another thing. When Real Deal came on and said that Deadly was going along for Muscle's ride because of clicks and views, he denied it and threw Tommy off. Deadly did say it. I heard it. Oh, okay. I don't know, actually. I honestly don't know. Deadly's getting very close to a funeral. Oh, my God. How many funerals have we had, Maddie? There's been quite a few. Jesus. You know, but no, he does that every single time. He's got to bring MRE into it. What do you think of MRE? He just wants them to denounce him. You know, and no, Mike, MRE hasn't done anything to you. You know, regardless of what you think about him, whether you believe it or don't believe it, I personally don't, and nothing will make me think that. But, you know, if you think a different way, then that's fine. But you don't owe it to him to sit up there and denounce people on here. You know, that doesn't help anything at all. You know. Yeah, and when he started talking about his daughter and stuff like that, I wanted Mike to freaking go off at him. Are you kidding me?
Well, he should have been shut down at least, because that wasn't the objective of the panel or the forum. He should have stated his business. He wasn't brought on there to ask. I don't care whether he thinks he's been talked about. That's his opinion. He didn't come on there for that.
Right, and
so in my opinion, he was out of order.
Damn it, Mandy said, Maddie, it's time to hold a service. He went in Harambe's today talking shit about the females that defended Slick. Break ground. Well, you know, listen, all of us, I'm not going to say I really, you know, I kind of knew. You know what I mean? But I didn't really, he was very effective in what he did. And like I said, okay, he embellished about a few bikes or whatever the hell he said he had. How many people do that on here? I don't really care about that. You know, and when we had the common enemy, I was good. But it's when he started going after, you know, people over here, that's when it went left. You know, but for Harambe to sit up there and threaten kids, women, you know, let me go after your daughter, let me go after your wife, let me go after your kids. You know, no, absolutely not.
It's a very low, insecure form of bullying. That's what it is.
Oh, and Laurie said, Deadly also said, quote, Tommy is a sick old man. He'd be dead soon anyway. Yeah, I thought
that really upset me. That really upset me. It was out of order.
Yeah, but he did say he spoke to Tommy and they're okay now. You know, he apologized or whatever, I guess. He did say
still,
that.
You know, I have a word you cannot take back sometimes. The feeling and the hurt remain.
Yeah, I did.
And that was an out of order statement to make to an older gentleman like Tommy. Tommy is a good man. He's got a good heart inside. If he was made the same mistake that we all made about Chicago Muscle,
right?
Why should he be held to a higher standard? That's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So so what do you think? You think he's going to come back, or what is your thoughts on it?
I don't see how he could come back. I don't care what Tony Pizza and what Johnny Mac are saying about him. I don't see how he could come back. He ran away. He wouldn't have even been able to take what Mike Slick was put through last night. Mm-hmm. All it would be is another immature screaming match, and he'd run away again.
Right.
So how is he going to reinvent himself in a way that anyone's going to have any confidence that he's going to be effective at anything?
Right. Yeah.
That's my opinion. People will tell me, well, why when I first got stuck in that situation, I said, shit, what am I going to do now? I had myself summoned. I requested it to
Right.
go in front of the Gestapo, and I told them my whole history on YouTube right up front before
Yeah.
they had to dig for anything,
Right.
because I didn't want to be accused later of having known this guy or talking to that guy. So I put it all on the table with them right at the beginning.
Right. Well, Down Next says, I've apologized, Josie. I'm not asking for forgiveness as I don't deserve it or sympathy. I take blame for what I did and don't expect anyone to take me back. I'm a man and I admit I was wrong. No, Down Next, it's really not that serious. I don't believe it to be. I mean, you know, some people were more gung-ho over that than others. You know, me and Carmine definitely had our doubts, did we not? We spoke about it many times. But, you know, we went along for the ride because we had a common enemy. And that's really the bottom line. Now, when he started going after everybody else, for example, some people he did not. I wasn't on panel when he was talking about certain people on here. I wasn't. And depending on what the show was, I would decide whether to go on or not, or if I had something to say, you know, and that's really it. But if that side think anyone's getting an apology out of me, they can think again. No chance.
There's nothing to apologize for. The search for knowledge, it cannot be done without making mistakes. Whether it's in the laboratory, whether it's observation of human behavior, whatever the observation is, you cannot make it without learning from the mistakes that you made.
Yeah,
this guy was very convincing to a lot of people, or he was a great manipulator, which in Josie and our case, he manipulated it that we didn't want to cause trouble for each other.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, see, I mean, yes, Thornblade, once again, can't seem to help myself. You know, don't okay, you blocked anybody. Okay, no, you know, that was the thing. You know, I knew because, you know, I'd said it many times to other people, you know, that sometimes I felt I was being manipulated to be on there when I really didn't want to be, because I didn't like, you know, where it was going, you know, and then I would be told, well, I helped, you know, I had your back, you know, where are you when I need someone to, you know, have mine. And so I would say, yeah, well, maybe he's right, you know, because I did feel that way. But then when it started really going left, you know, is when he one by one, you know, he's getting rid of all our people.
Well, what he did to Maddie, what he did to Zio, what he did to David Cameron was wrong.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And I asked Mike Glitch that day, I wanted an intervention. I wanted people to sit down and say, hey, this is wrong. You have to compromise a little if you want people to go with your program. You have to stop doing this.
Right. Agnostic, didn't you bash me with Chicago Mary? I don't recall Agnostic. Normally, I don't bash people unless they've bashed me. And I'm pretty sure you've had some things to say about me here and there. But, you know, I'm not a grudge bearer. I'm not 100 on that, Agnostic. So I won't say I didn't, because I might have. But, you know, normally I don't just pick on people to bash, you know, unless they're saying something about me. And I think you have, you've had plenty to say kind of here and there, if I'm correct. You know, I don't know for sure, you know. So I may have. Who hasn't? But oh God, I don't know. Yeah, Gnostic. I know that there was something going on with him. I can't remember to be honest. Dell says Dave and Ollie, then back Maria. 2 days on, she bites his hand, then Mac. Then I was gone weeks before Maddie told him Neroville, I'm out. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if I get so far on planet, please believe he'll get abused. And that's a fact. Him and FPS both aren't as good as... No, then I just thought it was ridiculous, didn't you, Carmine?
Yes.
He was just asking the same, you know, he'd say, okay, have you ever been beat up? He'd say, yeah, I've been beat up many times. Okay, I have another question for you. How would you feel if your wife lost a job? And here's the thing that really got me, and this is where I would have really kind of let him have it, was when he said, well, I think I'll let you slide. Let me slide? I don't think so.
Who the hell is he? The God Almighty that he's going to make
Yeah.
this decision?
I was like, oh my God, I think I would have lost it at that point. And then, you know, then he says, I just got 4 text messages. This is after Mike has groveled, apologized. I mean, other than set himself on freaking fire, I don't know what he wanted. But he said right after that, he said, you know, I just got 4 texts. They're saying your wife is going to lose her job, your daughter is going to get kicked out of school, and we're basically going to destroy your life. That's what he said right after Mike has just spent the last, 10, 15
but
minutes.
Josie, if he had the power to do that, he would have done it without saying a word. He does not have that power. Now, in Mike Flicks, Mike is a very kind man. I think he should have handled it differently. That's me personally. But
Yeah, me
in
too.
his situation, thinking of his family,
Yeah,
perhaps that was the only thing that he could see as a resolution to the problem. But in my case, you never resolve a bully like that. All you do is feed his fire and he gets bigger.
yes, I'll definitely be Zio's Valentine. Well, I think here's the thing about it. You know, I mean, I totally get that part, and I know that he later on, when the show went off and then it came back on a little later, you know, and he was saying that he really just wanted to defuse the situation and whatever. But hold on one second, let me get some water.
Josie, even the way he addressed you when you try to tell him what your opinions are and everything, that was the end for me, because he claimed over and over that you were his trusted friend, his good friend, and then he basically told you to go sucker you know what because you gave your opinion. Those are not the components of a leader. Those are not the components of someone that is trying to unite people to work toward a common cause. And on top of that, I'm old school. He's supposed to be old school. You don't talk to women that way.
Oh dear, sorry. Yeah, good. Excuse me, I had something in my throat. So, well, I just felt like whatever Mike did, he wasn't accepting. He continued to try and humiliate him. And that's what was making me angry. And then later on, Mike said, Brittany was saying, well, you know, she kind of apologized, which she didn't owe anybody an apology. I loved what she did. That's right. And the other lady. And
no, both of those ladies stood up to the plate, and they didn't let softball bully them.
No. And so Brittany said, well, you know, she felt a bit bad because she thought she ruined the show. No.
She didn't ruin the show.
No,
Softball ruined the show with his ignorant remarks.
Right. Excuse me. Exactly. So Mike said, well, maybe I heard it differently. You know, I didn't hear it that way. I heard it differently. And I thought, how can you hear it differently? I mean, he was saying, you know, no matter how much Mike apologized or, you know, tried to diffuse it and whatever, he kept goading and goading and goading him, you know. And maybe Johnny Mac was right. Maybe it was just to have Mike like lose his temper and go off. Maybe that's what he wanted, you know. And so it's a good thing, I guess, that he didn't. But at the same time, there's ways of saying things, you know, that, listen, man, you need to go on somewhere. You know what I mean? I would have just said that. I mean, that was crazy to me. Crazy.
It was.
I would never have let him get away with that. Not in a million years. You know, I thought it was awful. So, you know, and I hope he doesn't go on there Friday. But, you know, it's his choice. If he does, he does. But, you know, if he does, then, you know, don't be taking any crap. You know, does he owe Tina an apology? No. Look what they've done with Mike's wife. Look at all the wives on here they've gone after. Look at the kids they've gone after. What they did to MRE was the most diabolical thing I've ever seen on here when his sister passed away. You know, they arranged a meet and greet at the funeral parlor. Who does that?
That's terrible.
Okay, so there is nothing worse than that, and anyone that can even think up to do that is a very, very sick, twisted individual.
Well, just the fact that he wants to
And
defecate
he
and
wants an
urinate on
apology.
people's graves and things like that. That's
Yeah, that's the
disgusting.
first thing he said. I'm going to piss on you. Tell me where your father is. I'm going to piss on his grave.
He
You know.
started that stuff. Now you're going to say Brittany responded, but Brittany only responded in defense. He started that stuff.
Right, right. I mean,
And he's always
always
on his show
about digging
talking
up
about
people.
that he wants to do things that are disgusting like that.
Right, right. I mean, you know, I was just thinking to myself, and you're asking for an apology from people when you do that kind of crap? I don't know any, I don't know, I honestly don't know anyone that would have even thought that up. You know
Really?
what I mean?
Absolutely.
And then as soon as he got mad with the girls, you know, I'll piss on you, I'll dig them up, I'll piss on their grave. Why would you even say that? And now you want an apology? No, hell no.
What kind of animal goes after a girl in college and wants to ruin her education?
Yeah.
You're talking to somebody that educates people and educates the young. It's an abomination. It's not even a sin.
Right. Yes, D'Agosta, they really did do that. They did that. And who the hell would even think to do that? You know, I mean, it's sick. It's not just disrespectful. It's totally sick. And that he wants an apology.
You know, and I do this. I know that this guy he's gonna come after me. He's gonna do what he could do, but I'm gonna die soon. Let him look for what he's looking. He's gonna find me broke. He's gonna find me. He's gonna find out I don't have any criminal record. Let him look. If he thinks I have no family left, I'm all alone. Let him do what he wants to do.
Yeah, Angela, the right wing is right. Stop apologizing unless they're, and they're not willing to apologize. That's the point. Everyone, you know, the people that were involved with muscle and all that, they're all crawling and groveling. No, hell no. It'll be a cold day in hell.
I agree with you there, Josie. What has to happen is people have to stop. They have to tune out this hostility because it's destroying everybody.
Right, right.
And that goes from Tony Pizza. That goes from all of them because they all don't know what they're talking about. You have to listen to the words very carefully, and you have to take the time to dissect what they're saying.
Right.
And then you can find that there is unbelievable Chicago muscle. A lot of this stuff, it's all garbage.
Right, exactly. So, you know, it'll be a cold day in hell.
When does Tina Soflo deserve an apology? When the investigation shows that she had nothing to do with what happened, and I don't believe that that's what's going to happen.
Okay, so Dell said 100% don't feed his false narrative. A Ripper's history is a false history. What do you mean, Dell? I mean, from what, you know, anybody, we can all say what they want about Chicago muscle, but hi, Amond. However, he put the receipts up. He put up the paperwork. You could see it. Now I think they're trying to say that he sat there and typed all that up. I mean, I know he was pretty good at what he did, but I don't see that. I don't think so. And it's there as public record, you know. So there you go. You know what I mean? So it is there. Now he wants to play around with words, far as you know. I don't know if you can say it or not. To be honest, I think that's not true that you can't say the rape word. I think you can. You know, it depends in what context you're using it. But I mean, there's sexual assault, and then they prettied it up to there's rape, and they prettied it up to sexual assault. Well, from what was described, what happened, that is more that would fall under the sexual assault category, because he didn't, you know, whatever, he used a finger apparently, from what they're saying. Now, same thing. Same, it's the same thing.
But
And
Josie,
so,
out of his own words today in his own show, he said
yeah,
while he was in prison, he
yeah,
married twice and divorced.
in
He's had
prison.
other relationships on the outside where people are going to get restraining orders against him.
Oh,
Obviously, there's a problem. You can draw a conclusion. The guy does not have a healthy relationship with the opposite sex.
right, right, right. Yeah, it's just
And just in your chat here alone, I commend Aegon for putting up this DD 214, and everything he said was
yeah,
factual. Agnostic, I was listening to that show in Angel's chat that night where Chicago Muscle went crazy. You had him by the short and curlies. You were right. You were 100% right. All he did was yell at you, "What's my name?" He didn't want to answer your questions, and if he would have, because he didn't know the answers. So I commend you there. You had him. I mean, and
yeah.
it's very hard to stand in the solo spot when you know you're right, and people are just afraid of being bullied. So I mean, I want to say honestly, and I'm sorry for Mrs. Gotti. I think Mrs. Gotti is a good mother. I think she wants to have a good channel. I think she tries to do things that are interesting and fun and creative. And I wrote to her with the greatest of sincerity. And I feel bad that it worked out the way it did, but never at any time. My gut instinct was that the guy was a fraud from the beginning, and I got caught in a terrible situation.
Yeah,
And
but
it's easy now to Monday morning quarterback. I could have did other things, and I hope that in the immediate future that she'll give me an opportunity to talk to her about it and to clear the air before I get too sick that I can't do that, because it's really something I want to do. I wanted to address it with Mrs. Gotti, and I feel bad for what happened.
right, right. And Angela says that's another thing. It'll be a cold day in hell before I prove anything. Yeah, exactly, exactly. I was screaming at the computer because I was thinking, oh my
Oh
god,
my God!
I wanted to jump on there, but I thought, no, I've got
Josie,
to.
even just the propaganda that he put out about that little traffic incident you had, how he looked up some law and read something that wasn't true. And it took
Right.
me about 15 minutes of actually analyzing what the subsection and what the article of the law was to see
Yeah.
that it was not even a gross misdemeanor. It was just a misdemeanor. And that if you looked at the accident report, that there was no high speeds. There was nobody
Oh,
in
you know what? He just sat up there and straight up lied. I'm
And the
sick of
reason I bring it
people.
up again, Josie, is because he keeps going on every time he gets a chance. Think of the high speed. Think of who she could kill. He's full of shit.
No, oh my
And
God.
propaganda, if it's repeated over and over and over again, that's how they hurt people. They win them over because it saturates the id.
Yeah, I
Saturates the
know,
unconscious.
but you know what? Like, okay, he can say that, but that was over a decade ago. I never did it again. I learnt my lesson. It's public record. Okay,
It is.
people can go and look and see for themselves. I mean, it's really that simple. He's ridiculous, totally ridiculous. And what he said was, "I do that every day." Apparently, you know. So,
Now that's a
oh
big
God.
joke, because I speak to Josie on a daily basis almost, because we talk about the mob. The whole reason I approached Josie was because I was interested
I'll be
in.
back in 1 second. Hold the fort for 1 second. Go ahead, George.
Okay, I was interested in the MobTube Chronicles book, and I wrote to Josie, not through MobTube, through email, and she sent me a copy of the book, and we started to discuss the book, which I found to be very interesting, and I liked the way it was set up, and I gave her my take on what I got from her interpretations, and I thought that the descriptions of the people were fair and accurate, and it was setting up the sequel, the Mob Troop Chronicles 2, very well. So we became friends that way, and most of the friendship was off of the internet, because we spoke on the phone, and I would know, speaking day to day, if that was a habitual problem that was there, it wouldn't be able to be hidden. Josie is not like that. She's a very hardworking lady. I have a lot of respect for her. She's intelligent and she has a great style to her writing. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on here with her. I truly feel that way. And I'm looking forward to going through her writings on Mob 2 Chronicles 2, and discussing it and looking at it, because I think it's going to be a good publication. So I really had nothing to do.
Let's hope so, because I'm going to actually market them together as well. I haven't done too much marketing on Hey Redzilla. I haven't done too much on one, because I've been so concentrated on 2, because I'm trying to get everything in there, and I think it's going to end up reading like the Bible.
War and Peace.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God, yeah, War and Peace. But no, I was disappointed in last night. I really was. I just felt like he was groveling. I felt like I was glad Brittany did what she did. She did everything that I would have, most likely.
She was a little warrior, God bless her.
Yeah, she was. And
Amzie, I never spoke to that lady before. I knew nothing of her, but I thought that she was very righteous. She believed in what she was saying, and she stood up for what she believed in, and that's integrity. So I commend that.
Yeah, totally. And yes, Tommy Lucchese.
And Josie, one other thing I just want to get out before I forget, because sometimes the gosh darn chemo medicine, I get forgetful.
Right.
But about a week and a half ago, and I'm not going to mention, I've been being harassed, phone calls, and somebody sent me a message telling me that I picked the wrong team and that I was wrong, and all that. When I never really picked the team, when I never had anything to do with it. It was all harassment.
That was Kevin.
And in the investigation of the harassment, people's phone numbers came up, because I was getting calls. I mean, it's really nice too. I don't want anyone to feel bad for me, but a sick man that gets very little sleep, to be harassing him through the night.
Yeah,
and one of the things that they have drawn a conclusion from, that I can't talk about right now because I made a complaint against this, is that I think Mike Slicks, based on some of the stuff that crossed over, when he says that MB didn't dox him, I don't know MB. I've never talked to the lady. I never met her, but based just on what I'm seeing and drawing conclusions on the facts based on my own harassment.
Okay, your phone's buffering.
Mike Slick.
Your phone's buffering a little bit.
Well, MB did not do anything to Mike Slick. She didn't dox him. I think she's being unfair.
Oh, I know she didn't. I didn't believe that.
I have to say that in defense of her, because maybe there were other circumstances where things happen, but in the name of another person being falsely represented for something they didn't do, based on the facts they have, and when the investigation on my thing is finished, I will deliver the things that I can't say right now that lead me to that conclusion. But
the thing with MB was,
I support the fact that I don't think, when Mike Slicks is saying it now, he's not just saying, I don't think that she did it.
Well, I think this, as far as MB's concerned, whatever happened over in that community in the past or whatever, that was then, this is now. Listening to people in that community, I'm still none the wiser of who's friends, who isn't, why they're arguing, what they're arguing about. I really don't know. And it's not, we're not in that community, so
how can we be experts enough to know what? Exactly.
But what I do know is, okay, when she said it, and what she did, what I've seen from her in the last this year at least, she's trying to do something else. She's trying to, since she's been docked, she's trying to do a proper channel, and be whatever that is. So that's why I don't believe she did that with Mike Slick.
Oh, I think that's a true fact too. But people sometimes want to place blame on people that they think it'll easily stick to, and not who it really belongs.
Yeah, but the reason. Yeah, but you have to look at the reasoning. You have to look at the reasoning behind it. The reason behind all that was because Chicago Muscle disliked her anyway, and he disliked her even more because she was friends with this girl, Jules.
Right.
And, you know, he accused her of being a sex trafficker. Now, there was no evidence of that, you know, and like I said at the time, all right, she was with a guy that was a sex trafficker, but it depends on the age, the circumstances. I don't know what they are, you know, and I really don't want to know what they are. But because she was good friends with her, she was the devil. And so he wanted people to turn against her. And so she was blamed for doxing Mike Slick or giving out his number or whatever, you know. And what Mike said at the time was, because I said, I don't believe that, you know, and he said, well, she's the only one. It was only her and Muscle that had this particular phone number, something like that. But then it turned out Pizza also had it. I'm not sure exactly what went on, but
you'd be surprised, Josie, when I was getting 10 and 15 phone calls a night, and when they traced the numbers back, the numbers came back would make it look like there were people that I might have known when they were cloned from Google or those. So people do all kinds of things with the intention. I mean, that's easy to do because every spam caller in the world has access to those kind of software. It's not anybody thinking that any of these people are high tech or have any way of hacking into computers. They don't understand software, nor do they understand hardware.
Well, MB said she was never friends with Jules. She said, here we go, people listening to Muscle False Info and running with it. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know whether she was or not. I think, you know, they were all from that other community. I know she knew some people over there, you know, and that's just what it is, you know.
I thought it needed to be said because I think that honesty and integrity are important things. And I don't think that people, this falsely accusing people, this hatred that's going on, this violence and this name calling is not helping any part of this community to grow in any way.
Right. And MB said she told Muscle to leave all the women in that community alone. He didn't go there to call women whites,
exactly,
CUNTs, etc. Well, that's how it turned out, you know. And so the way I was feeling about it was everything that he was saying he was against, he was now doing.
Exactly.
So
do as I say, not as I do. Yeah, exactly.
You know, and so of course it went to hell, you know. But I just think, you know.
And he would have addressed anybody that way because there's something wrong with the guy. He's got some kind of defunct. He's a maniac in his head. He's got a delusion of grandeur, and he thinks that he can be all powerful. When you don't get respect from people by terrorizing them and fearing them, because not even bikers take that approach with the outside world, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to exist.
Right, and Amon's right. He said 100% Carmine, this is going to get bad. All it takes is one mentally unstable person.
100%.
And a bad day.
And thank you for your service.
Yeah. And MB said, I told him before Thanksgiving he didn't have a problem with it until a bunch of us... I mean, there was a reason behind it. Well, Jane likes the bee avatar. I don't know. I don't know who she is, or you know. Yeah. So I don't know. So right. So we've been on an hour. Have you got out all what you wanted to say? Yeah. I'm sorry about the other day, but that guy was swinging his woolly around.
Oh my God.
I know, and I went and pressed on the wrong button. Hey, Cuban B, how are you? Okay.
The most important message is to stop with the blame, to stop with the pointing fingers. There has to become a point of healing. There has to become a point where we leave the violence, the hostility, and the anger behind, and we start to look at each other as human beings. Some of us will be able to get along with some people, some of us not. But to keep fueling these feuds and to keep fueling this propaganda is only going to lead to an unhealthy destruction of everyone and everything.
Yeah, you're right, Laurie. I just think, you know, I don't understand the community. I'm not sure what it's about, really, and I still don't. MB said Mike Slick lied about a lot of stuff. Seems he'll make his apologies to the other side, but not ones that he supported and was cool with for over a year. Yeah, there is that too. You know, I just think I just don't want to see him on there groveling. I really don't. You know, I don't want to see what I saw yesterday, where you know, every
Yes,
time,
Aegon falling down.
yeah, every time you answer him, well, what about this and what about that and what do you think about this? And, you know, it's that jailhouse, you know, prosecutor shit, and I wouldn't have put up with that. Did you live near Jeff Beck? He was a guitar player with Rod Stewart. No, I'm from the East End. So they probably lived on the rich side of town, which was quite closer to Buckingham Palace, you know. Dale says, sorry, Carmine, a la tumba to the grave, no appeasing Ripper or Piggy. And that's true. You know, I don't think there's any amount of apologizing, not that I would ever apologize anyway, but, you know, the people that have, you know, especially Mike Slick was really groveling, and he just
no.
I didn't expect that either. You know, that's what was annoying me. He kept saying, you know, well, the worst part, like I said before, was when I've just got 4 text messages. Your wife is going to lose her job. Your daughter is going to be pulled out of school.
That was terrible.
You know what? Muscle also said I doxed him. Oh, I know. Yeah, that was ridiculous. Yeah.
But I think I was misunderstood in a way. When I say it's time for people to look at the good, I am not talking about the people that are spreading evil out here, such as Mr. Selflow. Right. Because no matter what happens with that guy, I'm on 100% agreement. You cannot make good out of bad in that case. It won't happen.
Right.
The same with people have to be wary of listening to. I mean, everybody likes to listen to Tony Pizza rant and rave and tell his things, but you have to remember the pizza law of kinetic energy. If he's saying it, it's probably a lie. Right,
but damn it, Mandy says I can't imagine Mike Slick going in around basis Friday. Well, I can. I hope he doesn't. But you know, it's his choice what he does. You know, but if he does, I wouldn't allow him to talk to me the way he talked to him the other day, because that was embarrassing. Hell no. You know, and thank God for Brittany and the other lady, like I kept saying, because they tore him a new asshole and he didn't know what to say. He started stuttering and suck a black D, I'll piss on your graves and all this and that. That's all he could, that was his go-to. Hi, Heidi, how are you? Yeah. So, yeah, he had a thing about Heidi too, I believe, didn't he? Because he was saying that they're all friends and they're all with a sex trafficker and la la la, but there was no evidence of this girl sex trafficking anybody. All right, she was with someone that did, and if she knew or didn't know, you know, we weren't there, and that's what I'm talking about. It all went in another direction. You know what I mean? So yeah, and you're right, JA. No one deserves apologies. Everyone did bad shit on here. Exactly.
Agreed.
Yeah. You, Heidi, he didn't like you for some reason. I think because you're friends with MB, and he thought you and MB were friends of the other girl, the sex trafficking one, or the one that he accused of sex trafficking. And he, you know, he had a real like hard on for all you three for whatever reason. I'm not 100% on it because I don't know the deal. I don't know what all your relationships were in that community anyway. Amond, yes, he said Mike Slick wrote up some false documents. Who said that? Do you think Mike Slick did? I don't think Mike Slick would do that, would he? Oh, Heidi said, I forgot. Oh, that's right. Oh, my God. Yeah, I believe so, Biggs. I do. I just didn't like the way he was talking. There's no way in hell. You know, I was screaming at the TV. Well, I didn't have it on the TV. I was writing and I had it on my other computer. So I was listening and I was just thinking, oh, my God, I want him to say this. I want him to say that, you know, and he didn't. But, you know, Mike Slick's really not that type of guy. I think he's a really mild-mannered, type person. And in one way, maybe it was good that he didn't, lose his mind, But I think I would have done. And then Real Deal came on and started blaming Deadly and Slick. Tommy, you sent him your ID. Yeah, I mean, that's true too, because at the end of the day, like I said, when Mike Slick and Deadly had their your phone, you sound like you're underwater again. But in my opinion, when Deadly and Mike Slick had their private conversations and they felt maybe a certain way, I don't think they could have come to Real Deal at that time and said, we don't believe him or whatever, because Real Deal...
No, absolutely not.
No, he was very gung-ho. And I think the reason he was gung-ho was because he thought he was a biker, a 1%er like himself, maybe. And, I don't know. But, they wouldn't have come to him with that. The same way, had I have not had that conversation with Mike Slick a couple of days before the doxing, I wouldn't have called him up out of the blue and said, listen, I think he's full of shit. Because then I know that, he was very gung-ho at that time. And you don't know that he wouldn't divulge that to Muscle. But, and you kind of saw that a little bit, Carmine, because when we were on the phone together, Mike Slick asked, do you want us to tell Muscle about this conversation or not?
Yeah.
And we both said yes, because there wasn't anything to hide. Oh, I hope you feel better, Amond. Yeah. Anyway, so have you got out everything now, Carmine?
Well,
what was that? Well, we can depart. Oh, Heidi said, I don't support any of them, the way they speak. Yeah, exactly. Real Deal was in 100% right. So the thing is, had anyone have said that to him at that time, that they think Muscle is full of shit, he probably would have told Muscle that, and then we'd have had hell to pay, probably. You know what I mean? I mean, after a while, I don't give a damn in the end anyway, but, CM preyed on Val, but he couldn't be, yeah. Well, I mean, the whole thing about the women's community, he was supposed to be going in there defending them against Johnny Mac Code, and I think Kevin was in there at the time, but I think Kevin got out, and it was just Code and them. He was supposed to be defending the women against them, and I don't really know what happened there, to be honest. It went to hell, Yeah. And MB said Heidi Black is cool with people, yes, but that doesn't mean she agrees with everything. Exactly. And everyone's entitled to their opinion.
That's right, she doesn't have to.
Not everyone is going to agree. Hi, Assassinino, how are you? Not everybody's going to agree all the time or whatever, but because you don't agree, it shouldn't mean that you're a CUNT, a whore, a slut, and whatever. How do I feel about what he did? Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's something wrong with me, but, I'm not, but I don't really care about it one way or the other. I feel like at the time, he served a purpose. He was effective in what he did when he was going after, a common enemy. But I started to not like it when he, I felt bullied at times. Not bullied exactly, but kind of manipulated, and I knew it and I said it. Did I not, Carmine? And then when he started going after so he started going after them, and I didn't like that at all. So I don't like that part. As far as him saying he's a millionaire, he's an Adonis, he's got all this and that and the third and whatever. Richard Pully says he's a whore and a slut. Oh God. As far as him saying all that about embellishing about himself, I'm not really bothered about that, to tell you the truth, because people do that on here all the time. We've seen it 1,000 times. Now at the time when all this happened, when it actually went down, it was prior to him actually being MRE doing that show. He was saying, he put a message in Twitter, and yeah, that's right, MB, I did. Yeah, MB said, I told her I felt manipulated at times. I did, but he left a message on Twitter to say he was getting off. You saw that, Carmine. That's why we ended up having that conversation where he said, I'm leaving, la, la, la. And you saw what I said to him. I said he had people that were relying on him, like Deadly and Brittany and Mike. And, he had a lot of subscribers that had supported him all this time. And I said, so for him to leave, I would consider that cowardly.
That's what you said. Absolutely.
That's what I said. So, I told him what I thought, and that's really what I feel about it. I don't really care about whether he's King Kong or an old man. I really don't, but as far as him embellishing and all the rest of it, I couldn't care less, quite honestly. So you think he's coming back? I don't know. I asked you this earlier, but what do you?
I don't think so.
One, if you think he's coming back, this is one of his things. One, if you think he's coming back. Two, if you don't. Let's see what the chat thinks. I don't think he is either. And I think I'll start doing, Carmine, put the picture up. Hold on one sec.
He was. I mean, it got really bad after a while. It was like every day you would know what you were going to hear from the Gestapo, because he would just go on with reasons. Like I'd ask him where the proof was, and he would tell me something, and I'd tell him, I said, that's really circumstantial. That's not really. Don't worry about it. I got a plan. Well, science is based on proof. It's based on what you see, what you can record, and what you could acknowledge. Not trust me.
Well, I totally agree with Maddie here. I don't think he ever left. Obviously he's in the chats under a different name, of course. I do believe that. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I think he's still kind of watching and whatever. But the problem is, it is going to be very well in this community. I don't know if he's looking for another community, or has one already. But the thing is, he can't come back in this community with the same voice and laughing we're going
Maddie, I don't. You might be right that he never left, but I don't think that he could come back in any capacity where he could empower himself to get people to side with him or power.
Well, he possibly could if he goes on Johnny Max. Yeah. And
how long do you think Johnny Mac and Tony Pizza Duo are gonna keep up what they're doing? That's who knows?
Right. He said, I asked it. Yeah, that's right. Maddie had asked him for receipts because he was saying something about somebody, and Maddie just asked him, do you have receipts? But no, he could possibly, but I think if that's the case, he should have stood in the flames and done that in the first place. Because at the end of the day, all right, let's say it's him, that's his name, they know where he lives. I mean, what are they going to do? As far as I understand, his wife looks after Baby Muscle. I'm not quite sure what he does. He says something with computers. So they can't really get fired. None of them are going to go to their house. None of them, please, So what is it they're going to do to him, even if he did come back? Let's say he came back and started doing a show with Johnny Mac. What are they going to do about it? Absolutely nothing, And damn it, Mandy's right. He did. I mean, he did make me laugh, and some of the pictures were funny. I mean, not, wasn't a big fan of some of them, but he did make you laugh. So and I think he was effective when he dug into someone and whatever. He did put up the receipt. So that's why when Harambe says all this now, it's like, no, we've seen it. You know what I mean? So I guess it's a case of wait and see what happens, and we'll see. Anyway, we're going to get off here. I guess other people are coming on, and thank you, Carmine, for coming on. Thank you all for being here. And,
You're welcome, Josie. Anytime.
Yeah, we'll see what the rest of the week brings. So I'll probably do something on Saturday. Anyway, everyone take care.
Everybody have a good night. Stay safe and be blessed.
Oh,
Happy Valentine's
Carmine,
Day.
you forgot your saying.
Proverbs 11, I think it's verse 29. Fits. I say it to Mr. Soflo, Mr. Tony Pizza, Mr. Johnny Mac, and to all those. He who troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind, and the fool shall be servant to the wise in heart.
And that's a lovely ending. Yes. And my ending is beware the Ides of March. Okay. All right. Take care, everyone. See you soon.
Josie. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.